Hello there. Today I'm lucky enough to be in Saint Emilion in Bordeaux, and I'm visiting the Saint Emilion Grand Cru, Chateau Coutet. And the wine I'm tasting is an Primeur sample. They're 2025. So this is a wine predominantly made from Merlot. I think it's 60% Merlot with 30% Cabernet Franc and then 5% each of Malbec and Cabernet Sauvignon. The estate here, it's been in the hands of the same family, the David Beaulieu family, for over 400 years now. It's a fantastic site. The soils here are predominantly limestone on a plateau at the top with a clay slope and then more sandy soils below. There are 12 hectares of vines and they're roughly in 3 similar sized portions, and these are combined. And the limestone soils here help to give fantastic pHs, so quite low pH, good acidity, wonderful freshness that gives the fruit some fantastic liveliness. The other point about the estate here is that they have a very old selection of vines. So not only are the vines themselves old, there's an average vine age here of, I believe, about 50 years going into this particular wine, but also they're using Massale selection. So generation after generation have been selecting from the same stock. So for instance, when they're talking about their Cabernet Franc, they're actually using the old name for Cabernet Franc, Bouchet, and they're also using a very old selection of Merlot. So there's a wonderful long history at the estate here. As well as that, they're farming everything organically. And I think that actually started out simply because that was the way that it always run things, but now they have organic certification. And they've been certified here since 2012 by Qualisud, who are one of the certification bodies here in France. 2025 seems to be shaping up to be a fantastic vintage. It was dry, it was warm, it was sunny. And in fact, really, the vintage was made by about 10 millimeters of rain that fell towards the end of August and early September. It was just enough to reinvigorate the tired vines, to see the alcohol levels drop slightly, and to ensure that there was good freshness left in the fruit. Wine here is handled gently. It's all hand-picked. It's very gently pressed in a fantastic 100-year-old pneumatic basket press. And I believe they've actually tried working with a more modern basket press, but they found the quality of the tannins wasn't as supple coming from the modern machinery. So they have stuck with this piece of equipment that they have owned for generations. Also, in terms of keeping the wine's structure and its fruitiness to the fore, Mathieu, the winemaker here, has moved his aging in oak mostly to 400-litre barrels. So the oxidative influence stays the same, but there's less layering of oak, cedar, those sort of notes onto the fruit itself. So enough talk, let's have a look at the wine, shall we? The wine's labelled as 13.5% alcohol, quite readily throwing some tears on the glass there. Got a beautiful depth of colour. It's a vibrant young wine. It's got red-purple colour there, a vivid purple rim. It's not quite opaque, but there's a nice density to the colour. So let's see what we make of the aroma, shall we? The aromas are rich and juicy. There's a real dark plum bite here, almost like damsons. A really lovely, lifted, lively perfume. Perhaps also from the liveliness, I'd say perhaps some mulberry notes in there as well. But on the red to black fruit spectrum there. Loganberry, another interesting fruit note that's showing through on a more sort of black fruit side of things. So let's have a taste. On the palate, that has a richness and a generosity. There is some grip from the tannins, but as I've seen with quite a number of wines from 2025, there's a softness, a suppleness, and a roundness. There's good concentration, they're fine tannins, but there's a sort of a velvety texture, and the fruit is being lifted really nicely by some very fresh acidity. As of yet, there's very little influence of oak. There may just be some slight toasty, cedary notes, but there's nothing particularly apparent. And I think given the aging in 400-litre barrels, that oak note will stay quite restrained. Perhaps some sort of notes of coffee and chocolate on the back palate. But really the fact that there's this lovely freshness is keeping those juicy red to black fruits quite lively on a long, elegant finish. Perhaps at the end of the finish, I'm just starting to see a little bit more grip, but the tannins are still supple and then not drying out my mouth. In terms of the wine's ability to age, it has a density, it has that excellent acidity. I think this is a wine you quite happily keep for at least 10 years and probably longer. But I think what we'll see as far as the 2025s are concerned is that actually they'll stay open, approachable, and very enjoyable to drink from a very young age, from release and continuing through as they age. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the tasting. If you have, it would be great if you could press the like button for me. If you enjoy watching these tastings and you'd like to watch more of them, perhaps you could consider signing up to my YouTube channel. That would really help me to develop the channel further. And if you have friends you think might like to watch the video, do feel free to pass it on to them. I'd really appreciate your endorsement in that way. I will, of course, leave a link on the page for the winesearcher website where you can find this vintage of this wine, and so you'll be able to see when it becomes available, because obviously this is an en-primeur wine yet to be released, and you'll be able to see what price it's available at. I would say that Coutet have quite a small distribution. It may not be easy to find, and that's why perhaps signing up to something like winesearcher Pro might be a good idea. So thank you for taking the time to join me, and I do hope that maybe you'll manage to make some time in the future and come and join me for another tasting. Till then, bye for now.